The hardest part of my job is to get deeply technical people to learn how to be persuasive. I have actually sat in an investor meeting where the persuasion was 99% done, and the entrepreneur made this bold claim, and their head of engineering said, "No, we can't do that. We don't have enough data to prove that that's possible." And the investment just went poof.
Bill Liao is a venture partner at SOSV. He's invested in over 1,000 deep tech, biotech, and hardware startups, and he's built 2 unicorns of his own, Davnet and Zing. And he's watched a lot of brilliant technical founders die quietly. Almost none of them died because the science failed. And here is what most hardware founders would not expect to hear from a man who has run persuasion masterclasses for 2 decades.
The best persuaders are introverts. Like the very best persuaders are introverts because they listen better. Nearly cost them the entire business. It was touch and go for 7 months. It wasn't just 7 months of delay. It was 7 months of cost cutting, firing people, agony, making life choices about, prioritizing food or mortgages.
So at the end of the conversation, I asked him this. If you had to teach me one thing about persuasion in 60 seconds, what would it be?
Listen so that other people feel heard. It's not enough just to listen. You need to make sure that...
Bill said something in this conversation I just keep going back to.
The half-life of an insight is 24 hours. And the only way to extend its half-life is to take action on it.
We talk about hardware businesses as if they're won or lost on the strength of the product. They aren't. They're won or lost on whether somebody on the team can persuade. The investor, the senior hire, the customer, each other. And the people who do that the best are usually the quietest in the room. This is why design. Bill, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you. And finally great to I say sit down, but we're both stood up. So welcome.
Honored to be here, Chris.
The pleasure's all mine. So for those listening and not watching this on YouTube, Bill's currently on a treadmill. In fact, every time I've spoken to you on a video call, Bill, you've been on the treadmill. So I do have one available, but I think I would, as I said to you before we started recording, I would either fall off it at some point or or just completely lose track of where I am, where we should be in the episode. So
I love to walk and talk. And who says men can't multitask?
Well, we'll find out, won't we? So, welcome. At least if
your viewership will go up if I fall off.
That's it. Yeah, the marketing team have asked me for bloopers, so maybe this is the time. But Bill, you've spent more than a decade investing in technical founders, deep tech, biotech, hardware. Literally hundreds of companies through SOSV. Am I saying that right? I probably should have clarified that before.
Yeah, that's SOSV is correct.
SOSV, yeah, Bill. And you've said publicly that founder splits are the number one cause of startup death in your experience. Not the market, not the money, not the product. The team breaks first. So before we get into anything else, I want you to please take me back to one of those moments, of implosion where you watched a company die quietly, not because the science failed, but because the founders couldn't hold it together or couldn't move people. Anonymize if you need to, obviously, but perhaps you could take me back into that room.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a classic example where one of my portfolio companies is deeply into alternative material manufacturing. The science had everything you would want, right? It's pure circular economy, huge potential market, interested customers, some of the top brands that you can imagine. And it was 3 co-founders. And unfortunately, they didn't have a founder vesting agreement. We insisted that they do a founder investing agreement. They resisted. We foolishly let them into the program anyway. About a year in after the program, they'd raised their first money and they had an argument between the 3 founders and they ejected one of the founders. And
Wow.
because they didn't have founder vesting, that founder took a fairly large chunk of the capital of the company, like a fairly large chunk of the equity with
Mm.
them, and just sat on it, pissed off.
Yeah.
So all future raises were tainted by that dead weight on the cap table.
Uh,
The two remaining founders buckled down. They did manage to raise some more money, worked very hard, and then somewhere around after the third capital raise, they had a big fight.
right.
And one of them left on very reasonable terms. The other one, as far as I'm concerned, is just not a good person. They've always had this ambition.
Mm.
There's this idea that people rise to the level of their own incompetence. Well, guess what? And now they're dead.
Wow.
And that exact story is actually played out more than once.
Uh,
So first things first, don't have too many founders. Right, 3 is about the limit. 5
yeah.
is pushing it beyond. I had a company with 15 founders. It didn't even make it to the first capital raise. Um, Second thing, always have a founder vesting agreement, basically
yeah.
a prenup for
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, because the company needs that equity back if you
Uh,
leave early. And you should leave. There's good leaver, bad leaver provisions. If you're a bad leaver, you should just be dropped like
let's
a hot
go. Yeah.
potato. If you're a good leaver, then you should get something
Uh,
ongoingly and not the big chunk that a founder deserves, because that equity needs to be working hard
uh,
for the company to actually succeed. And so while it may feel a little grinchy to give up a big chunk just because you left, especially if you've invested a lot of time and effort
uh-huh.
before you left, it needs to be painful like that so that you actually have a really good thought about, well, should I reconcile with my founders or
Uh,
not? It does more than just keep the company alive when someone leaves. It also is a very strong motive for people not to blow up against each other, because there's something real at stake. And this is triply true if
yeah.
people haven't put their own money in.
Yeah. Wow. And I imagine you get that a lot where you get, well-meaning founders come together, and they come and pitch to be, on your program, and they haven't even considered that it might not work out, that they might fall out, in 18 months time, whatever. Um, but, do you get much pushback then? Obviously, in this case, you obviously did, but
Yeah, we always get pushback,
yeah.
almost always, um, because when you're in the position of the investor and you're telling them this, they're like, well, you benefit from that as well. And we're
Uh,
like, yes, yes, we do. Not as much as you think.
yeah.
What really benefits us is that you stay together and you keep going
Uh,
throughout the whole journey and don't leave someone behind. Um, and if the people are all of good conscience and they're all working their hardest,
uh-huh.
and they're all mildly competent, as long as they work hard, and that one or two of them are just geniuses or whatever, that mix still holds together well, because there are jobs in every startup for people who are not geniuses and visionaries. In
Uh-huh.
fact, I would argue that there are more jobs to be done by people who are not geniuses and visionaries,
Uh-huh.
and relatively few jobs to be done by the geniuses and visionaries. And if everybody's working hard, then it works. And
Yeah.
if everybody's on the same page, they've identified similar values that they share or resonate with, and they've agreed a unified purpose. And when you think about it, your standard tech startup of 3 founders or 2 founders, if it's going to succeed, you likely have someone who's deeply technical, who's a doer,
Uh-huh.
and someone who's a persuader,
Yeah.
like someone who's out there. Now, they're probably a doer as well, well at best, right? And they're probably not so deeply technical. And there's an innate friction in that. People think, oh, 2 different people working side by side, they balance each other out. No, actually,
Uh,
most of the time they rub against each other until something bursts into flame. And so
yeah.
what holds you together in those moments is the values and purpose you share. And that's why you can't just do it for the money and be guaranteed success. It's all about improving probabilities.
Ah,
So your probability of success is increased by founder vesting. Your probability of success is increased by having diverse skills. And your probability of success is increased by having a shared vision, a shared set of values, and a shared purpose.
yeah, and it all makes sense. But you would, I imagine, see a lot where there's two technical founders were on the same course together. They've had this epiphany together of let's build this thing. But you need that diversity. I see that every day. And
Yeah, the hardest part of my job is to get deeply technical people to learn how to be persuasive.
yeah,
Because adding a persuasive person to that mix later on is rarely super successful.
uh,
And so the more that your technical people can learn the arts of persuasion and sales, the more they can then bring on a dedicated seller and judge what they do,
uh,
right? Because unfortunately, some of the best persuaders will persuade to you rather than for you. And if you're a deeply technical founder, you'll believe it if you haven't
yeah,
had any persuasion training. and and the covenant of science and tech is different to the covenant of persuasion and entrepreneurship
uh-huh,
and investment. The science tech covenant is convened around doubt, because without doubt, there's no scientific method, and without scientific method, it's not science.
uh,
And you think about it, right? An engineer, if you're sitting in a plane and you look down at the engine being worked on by an engineer and they say, it'll be fine. No.
yeah,
Similarly, the entrepreneur persuasion and investment universe is convened around a very different word, conviction.
uh,
Because if you don't have enough conviction, you don't generate sales, you don't generate customers, you don't generate cash, you don't generate investment. And you cannot imagine really two more dissimilar
yeah. You've
raison
got
d'etre, doubt
you,
and conviction having to work side by side. And so giving people awareness of this and having them walk between those two worlds, even if they don't stay,
uh,
um, is vital.
yeah. Yeah, the other way I work with a lot of design agencies, and
Yep.
and also in my line of work as well. The other way of looking at it would be you're selling hope. We hope we can do this thing, and it's conviction to portray that. But then you want the certainty, with an engineer, and then with your example, I want the certainty that that engine is going to do its job and stay there. We don't want to
Yep.
hope it's going to do its job. We need to know.
Yes.
Yeah, really interesting.
I have actually sat in an investor meeting
Yeah.
where the persuasion was 99% done, and the entrepreneur made this bold claim, and their head of engineering said, "No, we can't do that. We
Oh,
we don't have enough data to prove that that's possible." And the investment just went poof.
oh no. And and that technical founder hadn't had the persuasion training. I'm guessing,
Actually,
or the insight.
they just forgot in the moment.
Oh no.
So not only did they blow up the meeting, they knew they blew up the meeting,
Yeah.
which was
Did
good because they didn't do it again. It was bad because it took them another 7 months to raise.
oh no. Yeah, that one comment cost them 7 months.
Oh,
Crikey.
it nearly cost them the entire business. It was touch and go for 7 months. It wasn't just 7 months of delay. It was 7
Yeah.
months of cost cutting, firing people, agony,
Yeah.
making life choices about, prioritizing food or mortgages. Like one comment, and it just you could see the air go out of the room.
Yeah. Let's pause for a moment. If you need a contract mechanical engineer next week, the easy option is to pull a list of keyword matches and hope one sticks. That's not what we do. At Kodu, we work exclusively in physical product development. We know what good looks like at senior level because we've spent over a decade in this market. Every contractor we introduce is properly vetted, referenced and assessed for real delivery experience, not just software skills on a CV. We can move in under 24 hours, but we do not compromise on quality to do it. So if you need proven contractor support without the gamble, connect with me, Chris White, on LinkedIn, and let's move properly. Now, I hear from various investors and founders that go through that journey. Now, it's good when you get feedback. You take the positives from even a no, as long as you get feedback, and you can come back to another pitch. But was the feedback there? Then did they know straight away they'd lost it?
Oh yeah, they were perceptive enough to realize they also saw the air go out of the room.
Yeah. Oh dear.
And the money along with it.
Yeah.
Plus
The trap door opened.
Plus the fact that they were between me and their co-founder, both of whom delivered a swift kick under the table. Too late.
Oh no, crikey! Well, at least you can laugh about it now. Lessons learned, I suppose.
But they learned their lessons, so that
yeah.
I can laugh about it. They're still in business.
Oh, good. Well, kind of segues nicely into the next section. You weren't always planning to be a venture capitalist or a persuasion coach. And these my notes, correct me if I've got this wrong, but you were broke, in debt, you had a dead end job, the baby on the way, then you ended up volunteering for a charity that turned you into a salesperson. So
yeah, it's close enough. I mean, not quite right. I did, I was working as an engineer, a self-taught computer engineer. My wife and I both worked for the same company, and we both felt like we'd come to a dead end.
Yeah.
And so our boss at the time, a guy called Peter Ball, who I love dearly, and who's a serial entrepreneur, got us paid for a personal development course.
Okay.
And we both went and did that, and then got into it and did it for a bit. And I learned that the future that you set is the now that you get. So if you commit to and share verbally a future that you are trying to construct and behave accordingly, that actually changes who you are in the present. And if you design that future well enough, then you can actually fill yourself with purpose and fill others with purpose with you. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is how you end up living a life you love. And we talk, my purpose, which has taken many design iterations, is a world that works for all living things because civilization thrives. And there's a lot to unpack in that. I'm not going to unpack it all. I'm just going to say that we are a long way away from that future, and it still lights me up every step of progress we make towards it. So every tree WeForest plants, every time a child learns to code with Raspberry Pi Foundation, every time the drug that Sense Foundation spun out has another successful clinical outcome, these are all moving us forward towards a future where the world works for all living things because our civilization thrives.
You can tell just speaking to you and listening to that, and we met at the Fix last year as well, and listening to you talk then, that is your being, your essence, your soul, that comes through, and that's wonderful. Anyone listening that wants to get on this, or get on their own journey, and plan around that, is there any way you would point them to as a starter, rather than it just being a view or a vision, where can they go for actual tangible kind of advice on this?
There are a few really good books. One of those books is a wonderful book called Purple Cow.
Okay.
Another one is Made to Stick. And it's all about how you create surprising communication.
Okay.
Because that's actually a great way to start thinking about how you communicate. I would also suggest that they look at what their true values are and ask other people what they think their values are, right? You know, like your mom, what does your mom think your values are? What values do your parents have? You know, my
Mm.
values are kindness, curiosity, getting shit done, family, and civility. And the civility part actually encompasses all of civilization. I really
Yeah.
like toilets that flush and Novocaine at the dentist. Right?
Yeah.
I don't mind if it composts. I just want it to work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and so those resources are ones I would absolutely point people at. You know,
Uh,
there are some amazing books um, about spirituality and who you are. I am that, which is
uh,
a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. You know, there's a truly astounding list, and actually, if you want to post a list of other books, we can maybe put that in a list,
yeah.
you know, in the comments or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing that people need to do, we've been sold a lie,
Okay.
and it's a really deadly lie, and that lie was or is that the pinnacle of existence for a human is self actualization.
Uh,
You know, the top of the Maslow, like, and it's replaced God and religion as the sine qua non of, oh, I'm self actualized, yeah, therefore I've reached the pinnacle. Well,
uh,
I hate to break it to everyone, and that's just straight up bullshit. The number of self actualized, fully miserable people I meet is significant, legion. I think if you take that to its nth degree, you get this nasty disease of capitalism called billionaireism.
uh,
And billionaireism is obscene on every level. And you know, I'm a member of the Founders Pledge. I will never make billionaire because I will give it away long before I get there.
uh-huh.
Um, that's not to say you have to work for free. It's just like accumulating a billion of
Yeah.
anything is sick. It's
Yeah.
sickness. So when you look at that lie that you've been sold, when I look at the happiest I see myself and others, it's always because there is actualization. It's intersubjective actualization.
Uh,
You know, we have these intersubjective beliefs that actually makes what civilization is. The stories we
uh,
all co-believe in are our civilization. Money is an intersubjective belief. Stop believing, inflation goes through the roof. You
uh,
know, so we have these intersubjective beliefs. These are the core structure of our civilization. This is the place to play. It's all built in language.
uh,
Intersubjective actualization, where you work together to build something meaningful
uh-huh.
together, where you share together. This is the actual true way towards great happiness, great achievement, great satisfaction in life. That's when you can put your head on that final pillow and look around at the people around you, because there will be people around you,
Uh-huh.
and know you've done a good job, right? And
Yeah.
you can't do that. No matter how self actualized you are as a self, you're not going to end up in that place.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so much that kind of that resonates, you know, in terms of, you know, community's everything. Doing it,
Yeah.
working together, you know,
Yeah.
being helpful. Going back to your values, you know, there's a lot of crossover with mine. It's, you know, just be helpful.
Yeah. Be helpful, be honest,
Yeah.
be fun, be
Yeah.
interesting, be together.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually just setting up a website, you know, intersubjectiveactualization.com, which has a really nice acronym being IA, as opposed to
Yeah.
the polar opposite of that, which is AI, because AI
Yeah.
ain't your buddy.
Oh no. No, I wouldn't say the things I say to AI to any of my friends. That's
Yeah.
I've definitely been training up on some swear words recently.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Like it's not the persistent hallucination that gets
mm,
under my skin. It's the unbelievably sycophantic yet confident way in which it tells you the lies.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just the little vein pops out.
Yeah, yeah, well, it's like any tool, isn't it? But well,
No,
it's a tool that
no,
presents as having a brain,
it
but
is
clearly
not
doesn't.
like any other tool because it stimulates a certain kind of mechanism in a
Yeah,
human that no other tool does.
that's very true. Yeah.
AI fundamentally makes you a little bit dumber when you use it most of the time,
Hmm.
and other tools do not. If I pick up a hammer, there are many learning opportunities with a hammer, especially if I'm unskilled with a hammer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you could say that AI might have some learning opportunities.
Hmm.
The problem is you don't feel any pain except for occasional rage.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. I was kind of getting at you need to learn how to use it, but your case with a hammer, you'll learn very quickly how not to use it. But it's not so much
Exactly.
the case with the with
Well,
AI most of the
and
time.
the other thing with AI is you want it like I have some hope with things,
Mm,
like Agentics and Claw,
mm,
because the most potent way to use like OpenClaw is with Discord and have more than one person in the channel. And so then you actually have that intersubjective relationship, and the AI is just there trying to answer all the different questions. And
mm.
it makes you then a little smarter.
Okay.
And most people use AI in a very solitary way.
Mm.
And that's also ties back into that self-actualization versus intersubjective actualization, because
Yeah,
you feel
that's
like
interesting. Yeah.
you're collaborating with something
Mm.
and you're totally not.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'd never thought about it that way. It's really interesting. We use AI quite a lot. We use Claude Design, and
Yep.
Claude Code to put together the new Y Design website, and I'm really happy with that. But I didn't do that on my own. I had a human kind of to bounce ideas off. I had someone to teach me how to, use the platform properly without going mad.
Yep. Then it's a tool
Yeah,
because there's at least one other human with subject matter expertise in the loop.
yeah,
Then
absolutely, yeah,
it's a potent tool.
yeah, very much so. I mean, I couldn't
It
have
should
thought.
come with a safety warning: don't go in alone.
Yeah,
Because
maybe that should be the
loneliness,
tagline. Yeah.
by the way, is one of the great killers.
Mm,
It's up there with not washing your hands to kill you. Um, like loneliness will do more harm to you than a high
yeah,
fat diet and a drinking problem put together.
yeah, very true, very true. Well, this episode's certainly taken a path I didn't expect, but then I'm not sure why, Bill, because you talked about some fascinating things when I saw you at the Fix, um, and you're quite frank about some of them as well. But you know, I think you mentioned AI in terms of some of the startups that you're invested in, and some of the amazing things that we've got potentially coming down the line. Um, yeah, perhaps you can give some other listeners some hope, some things that they can look forward to, from your world, what you're seeing, and I guess what you would like to see more of, and what people should be thinking about.
So there are different kinds of AI, and the one that's gotten popular is large language models.
Mm.
And when you look at, if you look at the original paper on large language models by Google, the paper is entitled "All You Need Is Attention." Right? And the flaw with that is actually what you really need is accuracy,
Yeah.
you know, and veracity. Um, and while you can build an attention-based model to give you emotionally satisfying responses to questions, you can never make it accurate. Alan Turing proved that years ago.
Mm.
So I preamble that with one of my favorite things in the world right now is a company that I invested in called Cyclarity. And when you look at the number one killer of humans on planet Earth, the number one killer, 4 out of every 10 deaths, is heart failure, and particularly heart disease. And people think of heart disease as the clogging of your veins and arteries. Actually, it's the clogging of your immune system. So we have these things called macrophages. Now, here's another lie. People think that there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. That is a flat out lie, right? LDL and HDL, LDL so-called bad, HDL so-called good.
Yeah.
They are not cholesterol. They are transport proteins. Right? And when you connect an LDL to a cholesterol molecule, it goes out of the liver and it goes out into the body to find a cell that needs some cholesterol, because all our cell walls would not be flexible without cholesterol. In fact, if you removed all of the cholesterol from your body, you would immediately die. Your kidneys would go first, then your hearing, and then everything else.
Right.
So it's not bad. It's just a transport molecule. And HDL is not good. It's also a transport molecule. When cholesterol needs to be recycled, it goes back to the liver on an HDL, right? And people change the balance of these because they think that if you have less of it going out and more of it going in, then you'll be overall healthier. And somewhat, somewhat, with some nasty side effects for some people. Anyway, the real biology is that it's your macrophages, a type of immune cell that wander around picking up random bits of cholesterol and also delivering cholesterol to your other cells. And every now and again, just because you have an oxygen-rich environment, some of your cholesterol rusts. It acquires an oxygen, and it transforms from being a normal cholesterol molecule to being a 7-keto cholesterol molecule. And 7-KC has no use in the body whatsoever. None. It's highly inflammatory and it's very toxic. So your macrophages, they start picking this up when they find it, and it happens randomly. There's nothing you can, there's some conditions where you have way too much cholesterol and you get more oxidation. But generally speaking, even if you have a low-fat diet and a low-sugar diet and you exercise well, you're still going to get this broken cholesterol. And your macrophages, they suck it up. And then if they get enough of it in them, they puff up into what's called a foam cell. It looks like a little polystyrene bead.
All right.
And they get sticky and they stick to the inside, the inside, not the inner part, but the actual outer part of your arteries and veins. They can't do anything. They become zombie cells. And they release inflammatory markers and they eventually die and release more cholesterol. And it's all very, very downhill from there. And what Cyclarity did was they put a genius chemist into an artificial reality simulation in partnership with a real AI, not an LLM, and an actual molecular design AI. And they tried, I think, a couple of million different combinations of these two sugar molecules, or the starchy molecules called cyclodextrins, just playing with them endlessly and inside this environment. And they came up with a dimer, which is 2 of the cyclodextrin, that fits perfectly around 7-ketocholesterol, like perfectly around it. So sensitively that the one oxygen makes the difference, right? So that no normal cholesterol is taken up by this drug. It's just locked on. And when it's locked on, it creates 2 amazing things: a wrapper, such that the 7-ketocholesterol molecule stops interacting with the metabolism. So it's safety wrapper. And even though 7-ketocholesterol is a lipid, once you wrap it, it becomes polar. It dissolves.
Right.
And the kidneys excrete it. And this is now being given to humans earlier this year in the first ever clinical trial, safety trial. And it was totally safe because there's no downside to taking this molecule out. And people actually peed out their 7-ketocholesterol for the first time in human history. And this could save a couple of billion lives a year.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's early stage trials now. how
Yeah,
far
yeah. In
have we got
fact,
to go?
they're recruiting for the rest of the trial right now.
Yeah.
And this is not an ad for that. You know, you can't find where the trial is, blah blah
No.
blah.
No, but that's yeah, that's just one
Like
example of
humans have been dosed, and
yeah,
because this is a design, the
yeah.
molecule has been carefully designed. It's totally safe. It targets one thing, and that one thing is the root cause of the leading cause of death in humans.
Mm.
I'm excited.
That is really exciting. Are you doing anything with companies around balance? Because that's another leading cause, isn't it, of premature death, at least
Um,
falls.
yeah, I personally don't have any in the balance space. I recommend everybody do balance exercises though.
Oh.
Walking on a treadmill while doing other things is an extremely good balance exercise, and gravity is the real boss.
Yeah. You're literally walking the walk as we
Yes,
speak.
yes. Talking the walk that I'm walking.
Yes, indeed. No, that's amazing. And you've got you've got quite a few stories like that, where you're involved in this incredible science that not that long ago, would have been unthinkable.
Yeah,
Maybe imaginable, but practically that the systems that we have now, the proper good use of AI,
yeah,
to get to that point is amazing.
systems where you can design molecules.
Yeah.
like, like, you people talk about angels on the head of a pin,
Yeah.
right? Like you're talking about trillions of things on the point of a pin.
Yeah. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah,
Say what you will about the large language models. What that that potential is huge.
yeah, not as huge as people think. Large language models are pretty much a dead end
Yeah.
because you can't fix them. They're always going to have issues.
Hmm.
I was talking to another founder recently who is got a company called Angelic AI, and they put a wrapper, just like the Cyclarity drug wrapper,
Yeah.
they put a wrapper around other AIs, and
Okay.
that wrapper has guardrails, virtuous guardrails.
Hmm.
And so that's an interesting play to try and correct the
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. I've had no end of spam emails from companies that are trying to use like OpenClaw or whatever to maximize our outreach and do that. But, you know, they're all terrible. They
Yeah,
stick out like a sore thumb. You can tell
yeah,
that someone's just had a go
yeah,
because no one refers to my business as Kodu Recruitment Limited. It's like being told off by your parents.
yeah, yeah.
So why would it go in a
So
sales email?
annoying. And now I will say that AI is getting better at some things. Like
Yeah,
it is getting fearsomely better at finding ways to hack things
yeah.
um, that have been kind of published somewhere.
Mm.
The problem with that is that North Korean hackers don't tend to publish their work.
Mm. Yeah, I did see earlier this week. I saw something where there's a version of Claude that's available, but only to cybersecurity professionals. That
Yep.
but the version I've got, where you can do research on anyone, anywhere, and it's scarily accurate and fast.
It's fast.
Yeah. Let's find out more than I can find. Anyway, that's for sure.
My problem is it's scary believable rather than
Okay.
scary
Yeah.
accurate.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
like that's the thing that is totally annoying, and also the reason why it's ultimately pretty much a dead end.
Mm.
And we are going to have to do a lot to improve AI for more general use.
Mm.
It turns out though that people are enormously bullshit tolerant, which is unfortunate. Right?
Yeah.
Because as Yuval Harari would say, it's really cheap to make up bullshit. It's
Yeah.
really expensive to discern truth.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is really expensive way of getting a sort of 70-30 bullshit truth mix.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I say this a lot to people that I work with as well. You know, in some respects, it gives me hope. You know that I personally will have a career. You know, you'll have a career. You know, kind of in the next kind of 5, 10 years, because a lot of what we do is just talking to people, and it's you know,
Yes.
and it costs time to get a version of truth. You know, you're still speaking to people, but it's you can't do what I do or what you do just with text with the
Yeah, we are hard to replace. We're about
yeah
as hard to replace as like somebody who does bespoke joinery.
yeah
Because the situations that we go into are so varied,
yeah
and there's just no good heuristic for
mm,
what you encounter. And LLMs are just massive heuristic engines. They
mm.
just predict the next token with some probability. They're like a pachinko machine on the scale of the solar system. If you've ever seen those
that's
Japanese
the
gambling machines with the little balls that come down
yeah
around the pins, well, imagine that the size of a solar system, and you're kind of at the right scale for
yeah
just how many pathways the little balls can go through in a large language model.
that's bonkers.
Well, it's not only bonkers, it's impossible to figure
Yeah
out how any particular conclusion was reached.
uh,
Like it works well enough that humans are kind of pleased by this toy.
mm. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
The more prosaic the thing you ask it, though, the more
Yeah
likely it is to be right.
yeah. Shall we
A lot of your frustrations come from hitting edge cases really quickly because you're smart.
yeah, I suppose if you give it very little to point at, because you're super precise with your prompts and you know kind of the output that you're looking for.
It's more
But
than
then
that.
why?
If
Yeah.
you've got a repetitive task that is really quite dumb,
Yeah.
it will save you a lot of time,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there are so many really prosaic
Uh,
things that AI is really good at because it's good enough to get that prosaic thing repeated lots
uh,
and lots. And certain aspects of coding, certain other things, you could save enormous amount of time with an LLM.
uh.
As soon as you start pushing it to its limits, you discover them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting. Well, should we talk about hardware?
Sure.
We've done AI quite a bit. I'm sure we'll loop back, but um, you've personally built a couple of unicorns.
Yep.
You run training courses, or you have done on persuasion,
Yes.
and that's a big thing that we've spoken about, offline and and at the start of this. So, um, but it comes down to people,
Yes.
and founder splits being kind of one of the main causes of startup death. When you're thinking about whether it's not the founders that split, but when when you're starting to get off the ground, you're starting to get some money in, starting to hire, what are the you're thinking about persuaders? What should we be looking for, in those first couple of hires, whether it be, obviously this is a big kind of broad question here, but in terms of those kind of personalities or kind of attributes that every small team should have.
Everyone should share or resonate with each other's values.
Hmm.
Because as humans, our values are kind of bright lines that we immediately feel bad if we don't stick to them and don't
Uh,
hold to them. And yet we rarely articulate them. And so there's a set of values that the company has, and they shouldn't be 30 paragraphs,
uh.
right? They should be really single words that people can then expand out on their own so that no one forgets what they are.
Yeah.
I would trade memorability for exhaustiveness anytime. Right? like I get into this argument a bit that people say, "Oh, I've written this value of kindness. We need to define kindness." No, you don't. Whatever everyone's opinion of kindness is, it's close enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you have those shared values, it allows you to use them as heuristics to make decisions, and it
Uh-huh.
allows you to test. And, one of the things about people who are on the psychopathic spectrum is they tend not to stick to values of any kind, other than me first and create chaos, which they seem to be pretty religiously involved in. And so if you've got a number of people together sharing values, it's harder to hide in that if you're on the psychopathic spectrum. And while some psychopaths make exceptional leaders, that's the exception, not the rule.
Uh-huh.
And exceptionally good leaders is even a smaller uh, subset. Reference earlier conversation about billionaireism.
Yes.
One person on that narcissistic spectrum in a startup can destroy the work of any other 10 people at once. So you need to have those shared values, both as a filter and as a rallying cry.
How do you spot those then? Whether you're creating the founding team or whether it's, the team done first few hires, interview or, the meeting, however these people come together.
So
How
I
do you
have a
flag those?
series of interview questions. Like,
Yeah.
I'll ask people, things like, which is better, getting it right or getting it done? Right? And that's gonna and the answer to that question is gonna tell you pretty much whether somebody is a detailed person or whether they're an action-oriented person. The perfect answer to that question, by the way, is getting it done right now. Another interview question, I'll ask, what is one of your core values? And please don't say
Uh-huh.
integrity, because that's just, the anti for this
Yeah.
game. What's it, truly, where do you, sit on the knife edge wondering, right?
Yeah.
And somebody will say, oh, one of my core values is curiosity. And I'll say, that's great. Where have you compromised your curiosity and suffered for it?
I like that.
All right. and that's going to get you a real answer.
Yeah.
Very likely. Like, people go, whoa,
Yeah.
those sorts of challenging open-ended questions
And I guess you're
are very
looking,
good to test values.
yeah. And you're looking for two parts of that question. You'd be looking for an instant response to the first bit, and then they're stunned by your follow-up question.
Yeah,
But then they give,
exactly.
yeah. That's interesting. Any other kind of killer questions that you ask?
What would your mum think of what you did? And has there been a time when your mum wasn't proud?
Love it. Absolutely love that. I haven't got a story about when Mum wasn't proud of me, but I'm sure I have, but not that I'm going to say on a podcast.
This is not that kind of interview.
No, but someone put me onto a book called Traction
Yes, good book.
last year, and that's got me thinking about my business and as I grow the team. And actually, as I was reading it, it must have been last year because I was in New York and I went to see
Yes.
a design studio and had the guy on the Jordan on the podcast, and he had their 5 or 6 values on the wall. They had 1 or 2 words per value, and then just a little tagline,
Yep.
and just an A4 piece of paper. I thought,
Yeah.
that's great, and he talked me through them, and you could tell that that just
They were real.
bonded it. Yeah, real.
Yeah.
But the interview against them, and
Yeah.
part of the traction is define these values and then
Yeah.
interview against it, and you won't always get it right, but you'll get it wrong a lot less.
It's much easy. It's about probabilities again, right?
Yeah.
It's your probability of getting it right if people have resonant values
Uh-huh.
is so much higher than literally any other metric. I would take aligned values over, skill any day,
Mm.
right? Because
Massively,
skill in a startup where the skilled person makes everybody else's life miserable is untenable.
Yeah. No, I see that. Yeah, day in, day out. That's often why I get a call. It's this person's left, or this person has had to leave,
Yeah.
been exited from the business, and yeah, you hear
And
all the stories then.
there's another great book called Quiet, which is about
Okay.
introverts. And that's a really powerful book as a founder, because you need more introverts than extroverts generally in a
Mm,
startup. Um, and it's not a 100% balance,
mm,
because you need people who'll just knuckle down and freaking do it.
yeah.
And create, unlike many other things, pure creativity generally tends to be a solo activity
Mm,
for the creative moment. Like, it's collaborative in every other sense. It's just that when you've got to actually come up with that thing that no one's come up with before, you kind of need to be in a bath by yourself at
yeah.
4 a.m. in the morning, or, or whatever it
Yeah.
is that stimulates those juices, right? 'Cause you know
Yeah.
what I mean, right? If you're not in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
flow
Absolutely.
state, and it's really hard to achieve a flow state with more than one person at once, unless you're playing a multi-person sport.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's my version of creativity would be songwriting. It would
Yeah,
be kind of writing music, and some of my best lyrics or kind of melodies have come to me while I've been in the shower or out on a walk. Where you're not
almost
thinking.
inevitably.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really funny. It's because you have a thinker,
Yeah.
and your thinker is not in the same place as the rest of your creative tool set
Yeah.
in your brain, and it actually gets in the way. Um,
Yeah.
if you're in a flow state, your thinker is generally off somewhere else.
Yeah. I can't. I say I can't. I've maybe done it once or twice where I've sat down and I've written a song and I'm happy with it in that session. But it's usually I'll think of a melody, and then I'll record it and then I'll have to
Actually,
come back.
I would really say that you're usually in a space where a melody comes to you.
Yes, yeah,
Right?
that's
It's
absolutely right.
not I think of it. Your thinker wants to take the credit, by the
Yes.
way.
Yeah.
Down boy. You know,
Yeah.
like, people's thinkers have the emotional age of like 4 or 5. And every argument you've ever seen between two people, if you stand back, you can see the two 4 or 5-year-olds interacting.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, it comes to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're talking to someone, brainstorming, you might get some things
Yeah.
come to you there, but not when you need to come up with it. You need that
This is why
space.
psychedelics are so interesting, because
Okay.
at a very precise dose, the psychedelic drug will stop your thinker from thinking
Right.
and leave the rest of that creative space open.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a dose where you're tripping balls, right? Like, that's not the place, right? I'm talking about where your default mode network is impaired just enough that your thinker goes, "Oh, look, I'm off doing something else,"
Yeah.
and you get to that place quicker.
Interesting. Yeah, we've definitely got some interesting sound bites to put out from from this
I would
episode. But
actually argue that pretty much every form of addiction is
yeah,
coupled to the thinker.
really.
Yeah. Which is why psychedelic medicines are so good at tackling addiction,
Hmm.
and depression, which I would also argue is another form of addiction.
Okay. Yeah. This.
It's
Yeah.
a shitty
This.
form of addiction.
Yes.
And I feel terribly sorry for people who are addicted to it. And there's something that can be disrupted, that will, study after study has shown
Hmm.
that actually quite small doses, not microdoses, but small enough, like large
Hmm.
enough to feel, small enough that you don't trip, doses
Yeah.
of any psychedelic almost, seem to be able to tackle addictions like depression very well.
All right. Okay. Is that because it seems to have come out of nowhere in the last few years, but the mushroom compounds, for instance, are we talking about that?
Psilocybin,
Yeah.
those sorts of things. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, any of those. Um,
Mm.
it seems to have come out of nowhere. Like, there's a 4,000-year-old tradition of these
Yeah,
medicines, so
yeah.
not
Marketing
exactly out
have
of
called it.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
one of the big problems is that a lot of Western sort of bro culture
Uh,
got into psychedelics and basically took the attitude of more is better.
uh-huh.
And that's not how medicine works. If you take more is better approach to Panadol, I think it's 10 Panadols and you're dead.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a nice way to
you
go.
know, and a really horrible way to go, liver failure.
Uh,
Um, and you wouldn't say to somebody, "Oh, chemotherapy, I'm getting you the maximum dose imaginable as your
yeah.
first treatment." That's gonna end badly,
Yeah.
right? It's the same thing with psychedelics. You need to titrate them. More research needs to be done on the exact levels.
Uh-huh.
Um, Somewhere between 10 and 25 milligrams of psilocybin, the largest trial that's ever been held, was actually the most therapeutic dose, and that's sub-hallucinatory.
Mm. Wow. But there's so much hold.
Below
I
10
think.
didn't work at all, by the way. So the whole
Sorry.
microdosing thing,
Yeah.
not a thing. Is I mean, placebo works, so yeah,
Yeah.
microdose and believe in it, and you probably will get better half the time. Just don't try and make money out of it.
yeah. No, absolutely. I remember one of the other speakers was at the fix was the ex chief medical officer
Yes,
who was pushing for legalizing in drugs, or he showed the basically the proof.
yes.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, that didn't align with the so-called values of the government at the time, did it? So that role was untenable. But
Yes.
um, like you just said, these kind of substances have been around for thousands of years. But you know, we have legislation getting in the way of. I'm not here to preach drug use, by the way, but I think when the science backs it up, and there's
Well, I think politics got in the way
yeah,
of psychedelic progress
yeah,
in in Western medicine.
mm,
In traditional medicine, it's been going on for thousands of years and continues to
yeah,
go on. And I think if you look at the sources of Western medicine, like Ozempic came from, like all the GLP-1s came from somebody studying Gila
uh-huh.
monster venom. Like ignoring natural sources of medicine is basically, oh, let's just not have medicine anymore.
yeah. Let me interrupt for 30 seconds with something most hardware founders learn the hard way. The skills that get you from prototype to product are not the same skills that get you from product to scale. That transition is where leadership matters. At Kodu, we help physical product companies hire senior leaders who can formalize roadmaps, build world-class teams, and align product with commercial strategy. Director, VP, C-suite. If you are entering a new category, raising capital, or professionalizing your product function, this is not a hire to rush. So find me, Chris White, on LinkedIn, and let's talk before you make the call. Wow. Well, like I said a few times, we've gone a different path than I'd carved out for this, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I would like to bring it back to, what how we tend to end these things. The next bet. And what's the the hardware or health tech category that you think is so madly underfunded or mispriced by the market right now?
Um, Hardcore microbiome interventions. So I'm going to plug another company in my portfolio, a company called
Yeah,
Food Marble, which is you can buy one right now, and you should,
yeah,
because one of the ways you can detect a microbial dysbiosis, that's where your microbiome is not syncing up with you, is that you'll get fermentation. And fermentation creates alcohols and gases,
uh-huh.
and the food marble allows you to simply breath test at home and discover what is upsetting your stomach.
Oh wow.
And it's very reasonable and very cool. And I use mine frequently. And that's a lovely piece of hardware that directly impacts microbiome.
What
That's
so
Food Marble, Marble, I think.
I'm going to check that out. Yeah, my partner will thank you.
And I'm super happy too that
Yeah,
that's an Irish company.
yeah,
And
amazing.
they have a clinical version for any of the clinicians in the audience, and
Yeah,
they have a home version for people who just are curious and want to know. And they also sell this lovely test kit that
yeah,
shows common foods. And I'll give you an example. Um, I used to, when I would eat an apple or drink apple juice, immediately have to run to the bathroom. Like, it was just diabolical.
Right.
And I never understood it. And then I got the food marble, and one of the things that they give you to test is sorbitol, which is a sugar alcohol, and it's in quite a few things.
Yeah.
And then, I got the exact same effect. And then I looked up apples, and guess what? They're a major source of sorbitol. And my microbiome just takes sorbitol as a license to make CO2 and methane.
Right. So it's good if you need to clear out, but yeah, probably best
Yeah,
avoid
yeah.
it for most situations.
Yeah, like, the apple a day for me is not a health
No,
thing.
no. Oh, amazing. And now outside of
Although,
that,
actually, so I can eat apples now because I took a very interesting cocktail of microbes that kind of
okay.
reset my microbiome, and
Oh, that's
so now I
interesting.
can deal with a certain amount of sorbitol.
And is that like a treatment that's widely available? If you use the food marble, it can tell you what you might need to go and take,
So
or
the food marble can give you some hints of certainly
yeah.
what foods to avoid, and
Hmm.
avoiding those foods will alter your microbiome. In addition
Right.
to that, there are companies like Pendulum, again, big shameless plug, that
Hmm.
sell cornerstone microbes like Akkermansia that
Hmm.
can improve the overall diversity of your gut microbiome. And the more
Okay.
diverse it is, the less likely you are to have a specific food reaction.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's, I mean, when you say microbiome, I'm immediately thinking like Yakults and like little kind of yogurts like
They
that. But
help, they can
yeah,
help,
yeah,
and it's a lot more complex than one
mm,
organism. And you actually might be sensitive to those organisms too.
yeah,
And so having a tool that allows you to measure the dysbiosis in an objective way very easily at home
mm,
is a game changer.
yeah, amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
But and what's the biggest talent gap in deep tech and hardware that you're seeing, but no one's really talking about?
Um, the biggest talent gap is people are ejecting developers left, right, and center, thinking that AI can do it for them.
Hmm.
The second biggest talent gap is the perennial one of people not having enough persuaders.
Hmm.
Like, you've got to have at least one, preferably two. And
Yeah.
preferably able to persuade with materials and marketing, and the other able to persuade one-on-one. And if you haven't got either of those things, you need to take someone in the company and train them to within an inch of their life to do those things, or you need to hire.
Yeah.
And even if you do hire, you need to train someone within an inch of their life so they can understand what they're hiring.
And you're not talking, but for anyone listening, you don't just mean salespeople, although salespeople are persuaders, they don't, they're getting stuff done. They're speaking to
Yeah,
stakeholders and persuading rather than selling.
yeah. Persuasion is not sales. Sales is a byproduct of really effective persuasion,
Mm. Yes.
though.
So how would, obviously you gave me some questions about kind of getting to someone's values, but in terms of, specifically targeting persuasion skills, have you got a go-to question or test for that?
Yeah, I give them a task to sell or or persuade someone of something that I need as
Yeah.
their interview test, and then I need to get NPR score, a Net Promoter Score from the person
Yeah.
they persuaded at the end.
Yeah. So literally out of
Follow-up
10, how
surveys
likely
are
are,
really good for
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Would you recommend our company again, having bought our product?
yeah,
1. Okay, you're not hired.
yeah,
10. Oh, can we do that once more just to see?
yeah. No, really interesting. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Net Promoter Score as well. We run them through our firm. It's useful, just to have them for feedback loops anyway. So,
Sure.
um,
When you send somebody out to sell
yeah,
something or persuade someone, and they do that job, and then
yeah,
they also get an excellent NPR score,
yeah.
the probabilities are in your favor.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, the one I hate is when you get a persuader in and you say, please go and persuade someone to do something. And they come back and say, oh, your materials are all wrong. I couldn't persuade them with this rubbish materials you've got. I'm like,
Yeah.
bye. Whereas,
Yeah.
I've also had the answer of, your materials aren't great. So I actually had to go out and do it like 5 different times. And I kind of made up my own materials at the end, and that kind of worked. And these are kind of accurate. So and so we got at least these 3, and then the NPR
Yeah.
comes back like 8s and 9s. You're like, yes, you are hired.
Yes. Well, there's persuading and problem solving as well, kind of
Yeah.
coupled in with that. So
A good persuader is a fantastic listener. The best persuaders are introverts. Like the very best persuaders are introverts because they listen better.
I'm trying to listen. Yeah, try not to respond straight away. So no, it's yeah, it's true. I mean, I feel I'm fairly outgoing. I'm like confident, but I'm also quite shy and introvert. I'm a
You're creative. Well, that
creative. Yeah,
comes with the territory.
yeah.
And people, when you actually get someone to do something, when you persuade them to do something, you've always really got their interest in mind, haven't you?
Yeah, massively. I think there's, you've plugged a lot of books, but I would plug, Never Split the Difference as a good
Great book.
example.
The
active
next
listening.
conversation is actually better.
Yeah.
Jefferson Fisher, the next conversation is actually better than Never Split the Difference.
The next conversation.
It's written by kind of legal lawyery people.
Yes. I've read the book and I've listened to it. I like listening to audio to the books that I've read as well, but I don't like the they hired as the voiceover artist for it. But anyway,
the next conversation though is actually Jefferson himself.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, would you like a personal tip?
Please.
Which I give a lot of people, because I've been listening, and you have said "but" in this conversation roughly 90 times.
Oh wow! Okay, are you keeping it?
And if you just replace every one of those buts with an "and," you will upgrade yourself and your business significantly. Because the humor world occurs in language, and that means that when you design the language you use, it has greater impact. And there is no good use of the word "but." Excepting if you write screenplays or soap operas in particular, and you want to add drama, which in business you rarely want to do.
Yeah.
See, everything that becomes before the "but" is erased by it, and everything that comes after the "but" is tainted by it.
It's very true. I'm going to have to look back at the transcript and see how accurate you are with the 90.
No, I think it's somewhat less than 90. I was teasing. And it's a lot. Like, count the number of buts I've used and count the number of buts you've used, and I think you'll see there's quite a discrepancy there.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And you will have heard me say, and.
Where you're catching yourself to.
Yeah. It's a major upgrade for everybody.
Yeah. No,
consider the following. Chris, I really hear what you said, but.
Yeah.
Chris, I really hear what you said, and I disagree with you. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel natural,
Chris,
but it feels.
Said, but I disagree is fighting words.
Yeah.
Chris, I really hear what you said, and I disagree with you is an invitation to have a discourse.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think, I often look for, lessons, hooks, for the listeners. I think you're the first one I've had on the show that's given me direct feedback whilst we've been recording.
You're not
the first. I really appreciate
Chris.
it.
You're not the first.
Yeah.
It's a pandemic.
Yeah.
But it's a pandemic.
You
got to kick to succeed.
I nearly caught myself doing it just then, but I corrected myself.
You catch yourself. Well done.
I love that. Have you got time for some quickfire questions to wrap things off? Wonderful. Um, one question you ask every founder before you invest a pound, a euro, a dollar, a shilling, whatever it might be.
What do you want to achieve?
What's been the worst answer to that?
Money.
Okay. What's the single most overrated piece of advice given to first-time founders?
Oh, that's such a big one. Um, most overrated piece of advice. Put the team slide as the 17th slide in the deck. Investors invest in teams.
Yeah.
Team slide needs to be like 3 slides in. How do I know who I'm investing in?
Amazing. Best persuasion technique you've ever seen used on you, by who, and did it work?
Yes, best persuasion technique was Lolita Bagvala, who was the country director of the Hunger Project, asking me to make a huge commitment to donate money and saying, Bill, I want you to imagine you're giving that money in the future. I want you to imagine being happy about giving it away, like really happy that you hand over this big check. And what I really want you to imagine is, who would you have to become in order for that vision to become true? And I got a vision of myself instantly in a tuxedo with a huge novelty check and a big smile. And I thought to myself, I don't know who that guy is, and I want to be him immediately. And so I made the huge pledge and I fulfilled it, and I became a multimillionaire in the process.
It goes right back to the beginning of what we were talking about as well, visualizing it and
Yeah.
making it happen.
It was a wicked piece of persuasion and it worked beautifully. The only difference between persuasion and manipulation is intent.
Yeah, absolutely correct. It's that kind of visualize, where you want to be, but storytelling, taking the
and storytelling
and storytelling. Yeah, this is going to take me a while to adjust, but I thank you because I will be better. And I thank you.
Exactly. See? It's right there. I suggest you get yourself but is the 3-letter, 4-letter word. Get yourself a swear jar.
Yes.
And you could donate the proceeds to WeForest and plant some trees.
It's a muscle memory that I'm going to have to work on.
Oh yeah.
And having a swear jar might help.
Yeah, it will. Your marriage will last longer.
And I think you're right. Yeah. I'm going to miss off the next one because it was I can ask it anyway because we have listed quite a few books.
Yes.
One book every hardware founder should read this year.
Every hardware founder. I actually still love Get Good to Great.
Yeah. It's a good one. Got 2 more. The favor you've asked for that paid off the most.
Oh. Here's the thing about favors. All of them pay off. The more you ask, more favors you ask, the absolute better.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say a single favor because when you get people used to the idea of doing you small favors, you can then build up to a big favor. Whereas most people do a lot of favors and then ask for big favors and get nothing in return. So it's the favor that I've asked where I've put the time into asking a lot of small favors, acknowledging them, building that favor rapport and that favor train that I then ask the big favor.
Yeah, there's I'm trying desperately not to add a but in here. That's why I'm pausing. Other than an intentional, but
well done.
There's a line that Alex Mosey kind of will push around. Give, and then ask. But
Yeah,
what
no,
you're
it's
saying is,
actually totally wrong.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Ask, 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 ask. Right? And understand that every ask is a gift. Because when you get asked a favor, you feel good as the one being asked,
Mhm.
provided it's a favor you can do,
Mm.
provided it fits within the realm of things you can do as a favor. And that realm of things you can do as a favor to someone expands the more favors they ask of you.
Yeah. It's a really, really solid, positive way of looking at it as well.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Okay, I might regret asking you this, but this is the last one.
But this is the last one. Yeah, there we go again.
See, I told you I'd regret asking. I haven't even asked
No,
it
you
yet.
just regretted the budding.
I regret the butt. If you had to, if you had to teach me one thing about persuasion in 60 seconds, what would it be?
Listen so that other people feel heard. It's not enough just to listen. You need to make sure that you test that they are feeling it, that you are hearing them on a fundamental level. So that means also getting your thinker out of the way of your listening. Because if you're listening to your thinker's opinion of what someone's saying, you're no longer actually listening. And when your thinker is giving you opinion, you actually lose something like 50% of the data. And you need that data. That data is actually going to give you the opportunity to make informed choices. And if you're listening to your thinker rather than the person, if you're listening to your own opinion rather than the person, or worse, you're listening to the gap so that you could say something clever,
Mhm.
you are not really making them feel heard. And they can tell that you're not really listening. And when they tell that you're not really listening, they universally feel shitty. And if you're
Mm.
persuading someone, making them feel shitty is a really bad idea.
Yeah, yeah. I think we can all think of or think back to times where you've been talking. Maybe it's to a subordinate, or whether it's to someone you're selling to, or trying to persuade, and they've already got the answer lined up. You know.
And they've drifted off waiting for you to stop talking.
Yeah.
And they're not hearing a single thing you say. And your rage quotient increases dramatically.
You're level with the LLM. Any apologies? One more question. It's like a sub question then.
Okay.
So, because I think it's so easy to drift off, let that thinker come in.
Yes.
Do you have a tactic, a trick, or is it just practice?
I have a technique that I teach people.
Yeah.
We can try and see if it works right now.
Okay.
I want you to ask your thinker a question, and I'm going to give you the question. And I want you to be super honest and tell me what your thinker says, the very first thing it says. Please don't filter. Okay, so Chris, please ask your inner voice, what year is it?
2026.
See the filtering that went on? Everybody else could see it. You looked around. Your
Yeah.
thinker said something really stupid, didn't it? Or it didn't answer at all.
I don't.
You
Yeah, I don't
looked
think it
around,
answered.
you looked up,
Yeah.
you looked down. There was something on in there, and it wasn't 2026. You know the answer. You're Chris.
Yeah.
Your thinker didn't.
I think my thinker was overthinking it, but I couldn't hear anything. I was just trying to put 2026 out somewhere.
You spent a long time listening.
Yeah.
For an answer that your thinker didn't give. You said it yourself. Your thinker was off thinking about it, and you were trying to put 2026 in the mix. And eventually you went, oh, I'm just going to say 2026.
Yeah.
Because you knew the answer. Your thinker didn't. Regardless of where the answer came from, notice that you and your thinker are not aligned.
Yeah. What's the answer then? Not 2026.
The answer is 2026. The truth is that your thinker is somewhat dissociated from reality. And so the more you practice listening to your thinker in the abstract, that's called meditation.
Okay.
Like if you play back the video of where your eyes went, the
Yeah.
look on your face, you'll see the moment that your thinker went silent to a really simple question.
Yeah. Literal case of overthinking it.
Yep.
Wow. No, I genuinely have enjoyed this conversation. It's challenged me, in more ways than I thought it would. But I've really enjoyed it. I've learned something. I've learned a lot. I'm going to have to look back. I don't look back at most of the episodes, truth be told. I don't like listening to my own voice, but I think there's some lessons there that I need to look back
I
at.
don't think, yeah, and
I think, exactly, yeah. The tally just gets longer.
yeah. I'm starting to see a lot of trees being planted.
Yes. Well, Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure, genuinely, having you on the show.
Pleasure's been all mine, Chris. And my only wish is that people listening take some of these thoughts and ideas away and give them a go.
Yeah. Well, there's so much to unpack. There's the talk about the values. There's the looking into the various products and companies that you've talked about. There's persuasion. There's more and less but. There's there's
all and
listening.
no but.
all and no but.
All in on ands.
And that just leaves me to say thank you for being on the show. If anyone is listening that wants to reach out, LinkedIn, is that the best channel to get you on, or is it?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm on all the socials. Reach out. I have practiced inbox zero for like 35 years, so
Amazing.
I'm pretty responsive. I will say though that LinkedIn, it's shared with my assistant and myself, so you may not get a response instantly on LinkedIn. If you say something interesting enough, you'll get a response on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, test those persuasion skills.
Exactly. And if listeners do want to implement any of this, start immediately, because if you've felt an insight, the half-life of an insight is 24 hours. And the only way to extend its half-life is to take action on it.
That is an excellent way to end. But yeah, Bill, thank you so much. We will put all of these recommendations in the show notes. But Bill Liao, so good to have you on the show. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chris. My pleasure. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Why Design. If this episode gave you some new ideas, share it with someone in your team who'd find it useful. And follow the show so you don't miss what's next. And if you're building a product team or looking for your next challenge in design or engineering, that's exactly what we do at Kodu. We help companies hire smarter and faster and help great talent find work that actually fits. I'm Chris White. Connect with me on LinkedIn and let's keep raising the bar for design leadership. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep asking, why design?